Hi guys, welcome back to Contest Prep University. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson, and we're going to start a new series about what happens when everything goes wrong. You're in the middle of prep and something just goes completely into left field and you didn't anticipate it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is probably the most common, Adam, I think, which is just getting injured. You know, things are going great, you're focused on the show, and then all of a sudden, bam, you know, you hurt your low back or a shoulder, something like that. So just the overall mindset when a client comes to you with that, what's the first thing you want to address?
Specifically where it's at and what we can do to possibly work around it. I actually have a great example of this. 2 weeks ago, I had a client competing in her first show. About 5 weeks out from that show, like you said, she hurt her back. So HIIT became very difficult to do. So what we did is we found recumbent biking was very good for her. So we kept her moving. We moved a lot of her cardio to steady state. She found she was able to do that. Now that might not be the case with every injury, but you do your best to work around those injuries. And she ended up winning her class and doing just fine.
Yeah, and it's a big thing to consider that, number one, you know, get it treated, get some medical attention if you need, whether it's, you know, physical therapy, you know, starting to ice that injury if it's just maybe a cumulative trauma tendon issue. But like you said, I mean, I have been in the gym on crutches where, you know, after a knee surgery or something, I'm just, you know, hobbling over to where I can do some machine upper body work or anything, especially when you're in the process of a show, just to keep lean body mass activation, keep those hormones, growth hormone, testosterone, you know, coursing through your body. You know, just because you have a nerve supply and you're training one part of your body, you can really mitigate any losses to an injured area. And, you know, hopefully it's very transitional. You'll be through it pretty quickly, but don't think that one small injury in the scope of a 5 or 6 month prep is going to completely render you you know, at a level that's just impossible to compete. You've got to take care of the injury, but you can still probably get in the gym safely.
Yeah, I think getting full recovery is key too. You might want to implement some extra rest days, especially if it's a muscular injury. It's just going to heal faster if you're not damaging the rest of your muscle tissue prior. So I think it's really good to, you know, if you're doing one rest day a week, maybe do 2 or 3. And especially if you just, like, let's say you have a little bit of a pec injury, just don't train chest for a couple weeks and you'll be fine. I think it's nice to maybe move and, like you said, do some PT work, but nothing too strenuous with it.
You know, me being a physical therapist myself, I always had the advantage of being able to kind of assess what was happening and know how to work around it. Even if I'm training through an injury, you know, it may be just a different way to do the exercise. It may be a shortened range of motion. It may be reducing the weight. And I wish I could tell people dogmatically, like do that. But, you know, I don't know the extent of somebody's injury just watching or listening to this. So it's really incumbent upon you to get some medical advice and to see what you can do through that. But, you know, you would be surprised how many times you can still engage a muscle as long as you're just being a little bit lighter, reducing the range of motion, icing afterwards, and, you know, just really paying attention to the symptoms.
Absolutely.
So if you had somebody, if this happened to just right toward peak week, and I'll give you my example. I know somebody who absolutely 100% literally had to stop training for, I think it was at least 2 weeks. It may have been longer before a show, but he just kept his diet on track, kept doing, you know, a little bit of cardio, and he just ended up looking better because he ended up being a little bit fuller and more recovered. But most people would throw in the towel. And he said, man, I've come too far. You know, even though I can't even touch a weight for 2 or more weeks, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Anything like that on your end?
I actually have a client right now. She decided that mentally she felt like she couldn't be her best if we did that. But I did propose that to her and said, you actually might look better just because of the relaxed time you're going to get before the gym. And she decided instead of competing in October, we're going to nail the Arnold in March instead. So kind of set a bigger goal instead. But absolutely, I was trying to listen, but also say, hey, you don't have to eliminate this idea. It's a very good possibility. And like you said, if they are ready, the work's already done.
Yep. And we're going to get into some other things like illness and maybe you have to delay a show, but hang around. We got several more episodes in this series on what to do when it all goes wrong. We'll see you next time in Contest Prep University.